Sometimes I imagine learning a language as building a house. All those neatly placed bricks could be words. In fact, simply learning 1000 words in a foreign language can get you far in your ability to understand texts and communicate with people. How far? Well, the research showed that 4 to 5,000 of most frequent words account for up to 95% of the written text, and the 1000 of most frequent words account for 85% of the speech. Consequently, frequency information has a central role to play in learning a new language. That's why I started out with the Turkish Frequency Dictionary. This is supposed to help me focus on the most relevant words. But how to learn all these words when you're starting from scratch? Well, one is for certain, you can get to your final destination this way or that way. While I inquired how to learn Turkish words quickly, I realized that there is a tool with which you can learn words faster and easier than you might have imagined. I realized that the fastest and most efficient way to do so is by using SRS, also known as Spaced Repetition System. I owe this idea to Gabriel Weiner, writer of this amazing book called Fluent Forever, that I highly recommend you to read if you are a language enthusiast as myself. Namely, he has described the spaced repetition system as flashcards on steroids. Based upon our input, we could use flashcards and create a custom study plan that drives information deeply into our long-term memory. They supercharge memorization and they have yet to reach a mainstream use. Research on human short and long-term memory shows that spaced repetition encourages the creation of connections among related pieces of information and transfer of that information from short-term to long-term memory. This is a critical component of learning. A growing number of language learners on the internet are taking advantage of SRS, but most of them are using flashcards wrong. I say that they are doing it wrong because they are mostly trying to memorize translations, accordingly words in their own language, and what's very important, they are doing so without imposing any emotions that are key for the retention process. What is different in flashcards that I make for Turkish language is that I take most frequent words, namely nouns, verbs and adjectives, and insert them into SRS with a combination of images, personal connections, and possibly sounds. These words then become easy to visualize, which makes them easy to be remembered. Thus, while uploading words directly into our brains, SRS-based flashcards can help us learn faster. These flashcards derive their power from the 5 principles of memory recognized in the before-mentioned book as follows. Principle number 1. Making memories more memorable. Our brain is a sophisticated filter, which makes irrelevant information forgettable and meaningful information memorable. Foreign words tend to fall into the forgettable category because they sound odd, they don't seem particularly meaningful, and they don't have any connections with our own life experiences. We get around this filter and make foreign words memorable by binding the images from the flashcards with our past experiences. Therefore, when I make flashcards for Turkish words, I find images that resonate with my already existing memories. Principle number 2. Maximizing laziness. Extra repetition or overlearning is boring, and it is scientifically proved that it doesn't work for a long-term memorization. If we can't achieve this goal by working harder, then we should do it by working as little as possible. This means that we have to make an exact schedule when we learn new words and when we repeat them, which is deliberately explained in the third part of this 3-part series called Lightner Box.
Principle number 3, not reviewing but recalling.
When you study by reading the list multiple times, you're practicing reading and not recalling. Therefore, if you want to get better at recalling something, you should practice recalling it.
Every time you succeed at recalling, the reward centers in your brain release a chemical reward, dopamine, into your hippocampus, further encouraging long-term memory storage.
You'll achieve this goal by creating flashcards that test your ability to recall given word, pronunciation, or grammatical construction.
Principle number 4, don't tell me.
Memory tests are most effective when they are challenging.
The closer you get to forgetting a word, the more ingrained it will become when you finally remember it. If you can consistently test yourself right before you forget, you'll double the effectiveness of every test. Principle number 5, rewrite the past.
Every time you successfully recall a memory, you revisit and rewrite your past experiences, adding bits and pieces of your present self to that past memory.
You'll make the best use of your time when practicing recall if your earlier experiences are as memorable as possible. You can accomplish this by connecting sounds, images, and personal connections to every word you learn.
These principles will enable you to remember more in less time. Combined, they form a system that can insert thousands of words and grammar rules so deeply into your mind that you will be able to recall them instantly.
Most attractively, this system can take what little spare time you have and steadily turn it into a usable foreign language.
Our visual memorization is phenomenal, and the best way to learn new words is by creating your own deck of flashcards.
Furthermore, inputting the information yourself on flashcards forces you to decide what the key points are and leads to a better understanding. Besides, the card creation process is a lot of fun too.
In the second part of this 3-part series, I will show you how exactly I make my Turkish flashcards. Therefore, click that end screen and come on over.